I'm Jenny Fusillo with Major League Lacrosse, and today I'm speaking with MLL analyst Evan Washburn about the New York Lizards. Now, Evan, New York, it's known for making a lot of big moves and a lot of big timers and adding a lot of big timers to their roster, and this season's no different with the addition of Paul Rabil. Talk about this addition to their already stacked roster.
Well, it stole the offseason. It's one of the biggest storylines we'll have going into a year since I can remember. The unquestioned face of the game is moving to New York. So I think on the surface, it's a massive story. And then when you look a little bit deeper, then it's how does this all work? How does the role of Paul Rabil work with the role of a Rob Pannell? I mean, you had two of the most dominant personalities and dominant players in the game. Now they're on the same field and the same offense. So there's so many questions that stand out. And I've kind of gone both ways as I've thought about it. And I do believe that they're getting Paul Rabil at the right time. I think he's accomplished the majority of the things he wants to personally, whether it being the amount of points he's amassed over the course of a season, the MVPs, the endorsements, all that stuff's obviously there. The only thing that's lacking is championships. He has one. And all this time in Major League Lacrosse with the Boston Cannons. So I think he's willing to sacrifice or do whatever necessary to win a championship. And as long as Rob Pannell and some of the other big names, whether it be Ned Crotty on this offense, can also adopt that personality and that mentality and that approach to this game and this season, then I think the sky's the limit for the success that this offense can have. But we've seen similar type scenarios, nothing of this magnitude with a player of Paul's capabilities in New York not work out well. I'm choosing to be positive at this point because I hope it works out, because I think it would be a lot of fun to watch and great for the game. But there's a ton of question that remains. But the big takeaway I have is the New York Lizards and Joe Spallina are getting Paul Rabil at the right point of his career.
So they're certainly stacked offensively, but defensively it looked not so great last season. And Drew Adams is certainly a talented goaltender, but do you think that they have fixed the problems that they had on defense?
I don't know if they've fixed them. I think they'll be improved for a couple reasons. One, I think their offense is going to be so good, it's going to take a ton of pressure off of their defense. They lose Brian Karalunas, and that's a loss. He did a nice job. I thought he was playing out of position. But he overachieved in my mind, and I think losing him is somebody they will miss. But Joe Fletcher in year two, if he's as committed and as strong as he was in year one, I think that's obviously something they can count on. Luke Dupree, the big-time long pole from Duke, who suffered a knee injury and missed what have been his rookie season. What kind of impact can he have? Kyle Hartzell's still a dynamic player. And then they bring in Brian Spallina, who anybody who knows this game, has watched this league, knows the impact he can have. Some think of him as a dirty player. Some think of him as, his foot speed's not there. He's washed up. I've gone all over the map with him, and now I walk away thinking I think he's really important to a team in terms of building a locker room and an identity to a defense. Their defense was soft last season. It won't be soft this year. And anybody you talk to at Chesapeake when they won their most recent championships, they credit Brian Spallina for really running that locker room and that team. So if he can bring that kind of mentality, that continuity, that chemistry to the defense and the team as a whole, I think it's a positive. And I think Drew Adams will have a bounce back year because he's just too good to rest on what was a disappointing 2014.
So in your opinion, you think New York can live up to the expectations?
It depends on what your expectations are. If it's championship or bust, I'm not ready to say they'll win a championship right now. I just think there's too much that remains to be seen in terms of how it will work offensively, how players will find their roles and how those roles will be defined. But if your expectations are that this group won't necessarily fall apart, as we've seen some of these quote-unquote all-star teams been put together, I don't think they will. I think they'll meet the expectations of being one of the top teams in the league. I'm just not ready to say they'll win a championship just because they added Paul Rabil.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens. Thanks, Evan.
Thank you.